best practices for deploying IBM PIM solution. Most of them are similar to the identity management deployment. In this case, first one is incrementally roll out shared IDs. That is, one resource type, deploy and optimize its process, then pick the next type. So you start picking one by one. You go with Windows, or you go with Unix, Linux servers, or one type and complete it closely. So that's how you can easily, that's the best practice suggested, and it has been quite successful. Next, for new deployment, start with the broad policies and roles, and then refine the roles policies to provide more delegation and granular control to respective resource owners. So you start with the broader roles when you're defining roles. Once you get some insight of it, then you can start getting into the granular level of access. Initially, enable display password to user till all use cases are covered by the access profile. This is like, we said that, yeah, we can, user does not have to know the password, it automatically injects. Yes, provided the access profile has covered all the use cases. So in the out-of-box access profiles, you don't have to enable it because it covers, it injects credentials as an. But for the new, it's a suggested way that you keep it in a disable mode, and then once you standardize the access profile, and then you can disable it. Use Access Studio to merge RDP access profiles in case of shared and individual IDs. So right now we have individual ID profiles for individual ID access, and also for the shared access. You can use shared and individual IDs access profile. You can merge it and use it. So that's the benefit there. Define separate credentials. So define separate credential pools for each type of privileges. So you have power users, administrators. That's a best practice because you can select based on the pool. If the RDP access profile is configured to automatically check in shared ID when the RDP session is disconnected, configure the Windows terminal server to log off each terminal session upon disconnection. Give proper names, descriptions to services that represent each managed resource to help users easily identify or search for IDs and pools that belong to the resource. Give proper names to privileged accounts and credential pools that map to the intended role usage for these accounts so that users can identify the correct credential or pool for checking out. So the naming convention. Apply periodic recertification of shared IDs with IBM Security Identity Manager to ensure there is a continual business need for such IDs to be made available. Deploy the server components for the PIM or a Security Privileged Identity Manager in a high availability configuration. You need to follow the existing ISIM and ISAM best practices along with above suggestions. There are other scenarios. There are like on-demand request for shared ID privilege, shared privileged ID. Let's say administrator wants to check out a privilege. Prior to that, you might want to have an approval sought before a user makes. So this could be possible for a very sensitive applications. There you can customize the flow in such a way that you can have the approval kick in the moment user tries to check out. Privileged ID intended for emergency situations. So there are situations where the approvals take time, and you need ID and people are not around, so you can configure it in such a way that you can have an emergency role which can grant access to the IDs, and you can immediately get the access. Plus, you can have notifications sent out to the people who are responsible, saying this ID is being used. So that's how you have a control. Linking checkout request with ticketing. As I mentioned earlier, you can customize it to have an interface where users can put in the ticket number for each of their activities they're going to use. So they have a justification why a person logged in. Just a minute. Hello? Okay. Sorry. So here, linking, we talked about ticketing. You can add a ticket number into the checkout process or checkout process, so that you have identification like, this activity was done for this ticket number. So there is a traceability for auditors. Strong authentication of privileged users through access agent. Enforce credentials used by access agent only by disabling the display password. That's what we talked about. Leverage second factor authentications like proximity badge. Then you have customized the access profile for client applications to prompt for and verify one-time password against an OTP authentication server. Checking out and checking in a shared privileged ID from a shell script, which we talked earlier, that this ID, privileged ID, can be checked out from a script, where the script can check out the credentials and run the job. So there is a download available. This utility can be used, and automate the scripts to leverage. So users, as a privileged user, he can run with his credentials, or he can log into the server. He runs this script indirectly. It's going to fetch these credentials, inject it to the respective backend server, and then initiate the job. Next, integrating checkout of privileged IDs into enterprise applications. Now, the IBM Security Identity Manager shared access module has APIs that can be leveraged by other applications. So this is a web services API. So any applications, enterprise application, can take the benefit the way the utility is doing. So they can use it to check out this credential for a process and return it once the process is done. So you have all the traceability and a secured way of doing it. So there is no way administrator needs to know the password. So this is about prerequisites, which most of the prerequisites can be found on the website. So I will just get into the discussions, the Q&A sessions, as we have already passed the time. Here are the links which you have, the information